Hey everybody, in today's video, I'm going to walk you through how to create a company record in HubSpot and how to navigate and manage everything inside it. If you're new to HubSpot or you just want a refresher on how company records work, this is going to be a simple step-by-step tutorial. We're going to create a company record together. We're going to look at some of the views as well as create some properties so you can really feel comfortable creating companies within your HubSpot. Let's dive in. So I'm logged into my HubSpot. If I click on Expand Navigation, these are the different modules that are available within HubSpot. For today, we're going to be working within the CRM. So if I open up the CRM panel, I'll see we have contacts, companies, deals, tickets, orders, and partner clients. Let's jump into companies to show you what the company record looks like. All right, I'm in my company record, and over here, I see all of the companies that I have for my agency. If I click on this drop down on the top left, I'm able to move through objects from this drop down right over here. So if I want to go into my contacts or if I want to go into my deals, I am able to navigate right through here. So let's jump back into companies. Now I'm back in the companies record page. Let's go ahead and create a test company record together. In my companies page, on the top right-hand side, there is a button to create company. We're going to click that. We're going to have this form come up, and this is going to ask us the primary questions about our company record. You are able to edit this form, so if you have other questions that you'd like to pull in, you are able to. So let's go ahead and try to create a company for Google. Say Google is one of the companies that you have some sort of engagement or as a prospect. Once I do that, I can put company name, and then I can go ahead and hit create. After creating the company record, you're going to get navigated to the record detail page where you see all of the information pertaining to that specific company you just created. On the left-hand side, this is going to be where all of your details for the company is, as well as your activity. So any type of notes that you have for the company, any emails that you want to send out, any calls that you want to log, you would do it on this top left-hand side panel. Down over here, this is all of the details for the company. These are some of the primary data points, but if you want to view all, you can click on Actions and you can click View All Properties. This is going to give you a lot of properties. If you select Hide Blank Properties, this will show you all of the properties that are populated. So we have the company name, we have the company domain name, the date it was created, and all of the other information. If I open up the company activity, the deal information, these are just different sections of data, but if I open them up, it will show me all of the information around the company that I created. If I close this up, in the middle section, we have the details of the company. So we have the overview page, which gives us the data highlight, the recent activities, any contacts, companies, or deals that are associated with this company. We don't have any at this time, so all of this is empty. Activities, as you start to engage with this company, as you start to send emails, as you start to have emails, you'll see all of that information in the activities tab. And then we have intelligence, and this is enriched data for the company. If you upgrade to the data enrichment plan in HubSpot, HubSpot will auto-populate some of your properties for you, which is very nice to have some less manual work. So in that case, it would be able to pull the address, it'd be able to pull the number of employees, so whatever information that HubSpot is able to find for the specific company based off of the URL you provide, it will pull those details in, which is a very valuable function. On the right-hand section of the record detail view, we have all of the associations. So all of the relations of this company. Who are the contacts that we have with this company? What are the deals that we have for this company? What are the shared deals? Any quotes, any tickets? So as you start to use different objects within HubSpot and different modules, you're able to have all of your work linked, all of your companies and contacts, and we'll show you that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and try to create another company. This time I'm going to try to create a duplicate company so you see what that looks like. So I'm back in the companies. I'm going to click Create Company. And let's try to create Google again. Once I do that, we get a little notification from HubSpot indicating that, hey, this URL looks familiar. Did you mean Google, which is already an existing company that's been created? So if you click on that, it will take you to the existing company. And that way your team knows like, oh, we already have this company. We don't need to create a new one. So that is a great function that HubSpot natively has. Now that we've created a company, the next thing that I would like to show you guys is how to customize your company records. So if you have specific data points that you want to capture for your companies, we are able to create properties for you to manage those data points. So let's go ahead and try this out. So for the company record, if I want to be able to see the customer tier, we are able to have a drop-down field to see that information. So in the company's record, if I click on actions on the top right, we're going to go into edit properties. Here I'm able to create a property. So if I click create property, I'm going to label this customer tier. And in my field type, I have the option to select the type of field I want. So is it just going to be a text field? Do I want this to be a checkbox, a number field, or is this going to be checkboxes or radio select? For this specific field, I'm going to go ahead and set this to a drop-down select. And I do like with the dot, so I'm going to go ahead and set that. And then for my options here, to keep this simple, I'm just going to do small to mid-sized business, mid-market, and enterprise. All right. I'm going to go ahead and click create property. All right, we have just created our first property. So if I go ahead and search customer tier, I'll see that that is now a property for our company record. So if I go into back to companies, if I open up Google again, and to see this new property that we just created, I'm going to go into actions. And I'm going to click on view all properties. If I search customer tier, I see that this property exists now. So we can see that it's not in the about this company. If we want to show it in this navigation on the left-hand side, we would click on the settings toggle. And here we can modify the about this company to include our new property that we just added. So I can select customer tier and I can see it would be all the way at the bottom. I would like to see it higher up. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it up and it's going to be right below type. So once I do that, I'm going to hit save and exit. There we go. Now we see customer tier in our about this company section. So let's go ahead and set our customer tier. For Google, we can set this to enterprise. Now we know that this is an enterprise level customer that we have as a company. So that is how you create custom properties to manage data points within your HubSpot. Let's talk about associations next. What are associations? So associations are pretty much ways for you to connect your data. So you have Google as the company that is a potential prospect. You might be talking to Bob, you might be talking to Sarah at Google. So you want to be able to have records to manage those specific contacts. So let's go ahead and create those contacts. So right within my company record, I can go ahead on the right-hand side. This is where all of my associations are with this specific company. I can go ahead and hit add. If I already have an existing contact, I can select and add them. If I don't, I can go ahead and create a new one. So let's say we have Bob at google.com. We can select a contact owner, the job title, any information we have, and then we can hit create. All right, Bob has now been created as a contact. And you can see we are now in the contact details page. This is giving us all of the information for this specific contact. On the right-hand side, to see my associations with this contact, I can see Google is the company that Bob is associated with, which makes sense considering we created him within the Google record. So if I open up Google, I see right over here, we have our contact created. Now, if we have a new deal with Google, I can hit add. And I can create a new deal. We can say like new enterprise deal, whatever you want the naming convention to be there. You can set the pipeline if you have different pipelines, if you have different sales teams or different workflows for different products that you're selling, you can have different pipelines to manage those. We can set the deal stage, the amount, and then we can go ahead and hit create. All right, we have created our first deal and it's associated with our company. If we go back into our company, we're now able to see our associated contacts and our associated deals with this specific company. The next thing I want to talk about is the actual activities. So as you start to have communication with the company, you can create different activities within the company. So let's go ahead and create a note. And you can see that it says for Google in one record. So that indicates that this note is going to be associated with more than just the Google company. So if I click on the associate with two records, this shows me that this is going to associate this note with the company and the deal that's associated with this company. And I'll show you what that means. So in this note, I can say I had a great call with Bob at Google. We were discussing potential partnerships. All right, I can go ahead and if I would like to create a to-do task to follow up in 3 business days, I can check that. And I can also create a task simultaneously to creating a note. And then I can hit create note. Once I do that, I see my note is here. I have a task right over here as well. If I go into my deal, if I go into my activity here, I can see here as well, I have the same note and the same task. So it just kind of keeps things consistent. You have the data across your company and deal so that your sales team as well as your account managers are aligned. So that is how you create different activity. You can also do emails, you can log calls, just pretty much a standard CRM functions, being able to add all of the communication that's going on between the company. So that is how you associate different objects with the companies. The last thing I wanted to cover in this video is the lifecycle stage of your company record. So the lifecycle stage is a native field within HubSpot that allows you to understand where in the sales workflow the company is. Are they a lead? Are they an opportunity? Are they a former customer? So in my company's list view, if I select this little button, it says view your companies on a board view. And that pretty much allows us to see a Kanban board, and it shows us where our companies are within our pipeline. So I can see that Google, because I've created a deal for this company, Google is now set as an opportunity. Within this company, if this deal gets marked as closed won, the lifecycle stage will automatically get updated. So that is a native function within HubSpot, which is pretty cool. So let me go ahead and just mark our deal as closed won, just so you guys are able to see that. If I look at our board view again, I can see that Google is now set as a customer. So those are native automations within HubSpot updating the company's lifecycle stage. The other thing to know about the lifecycle stage is you are able to customize the lifecycle stage. Whatever customizations you make to the lifecycle stage for a company, those lifecycle stages will be the same for your contacts. So if I go into contacts, you'll see we have the same lifecycle stages. So the two objects are connected with their lifecycle stage. So you can't have different lifecycle stages for contact versus a company. It needs to be the same. So that's one thing that I did want to mention. The last and final thing, I have one more thing that I did want to show you guys, is how to customize your list view. I'm not going to go into too much detail. You're able to do a lot of customizations. You're able to add different views. I'll have a different video to show you that. But what I wanted to show you is how you can have different columns in this list view. So we added a customer tier property, and I would like to see that in my list view. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and hit edit columns, and I'm going to search for my customer tier. It's right over here, and I can move it all the way up top. And if I don't care to see the create date or the industry, I can remove those, and I'm going to hit apply. Now I'm able to see my customer tier, my company owner. These are the properties that I want to see. What's nice about this is you can also modify your data right in this view. So I can set Visually as an SMB, and I can set HubSpot as a mid-market. So it's nice to be able to modify your data in a report format. And that's how you create and manage company records within HubSpot. If you have any questions about what we went through today, feel free to add a comment below. If you need any help setting up your HubSpot, feel free to contact us at bitchly.org. Thank you guys. Take care.